we find Conan and the rest of the detective boys hanging out on a park bench. Jinta is completely hyped up for a massive soccer match happening tonight. Later that day, Conan head back to the Mouri detective agency, but he spots a high school girl in a sailor-style uniform hesitantly standing outside the door. She's nervously ringing the doorbell, but looks terrified to actually step inside. They bring her inside, and the girl introduces herself as Akagi Ryoko. She desperately needs Kagoro's help because someone incredibly close to her has suddenly vanished into thin air. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a photograph of the person she's searching for, nervously confessing that they were actually dating. When Kagoro, Ran, and Conan look down at the photo, their jaws literally drop. Ran completely loses it and screams, "What? You were dating Shinichi?" Yep, the photo shows none other than Shinichi Kudo posing with a group of friends. Ran is completely stunned and heartbroken, staring blankly as her mind spirals. Conan is in absolute damage control mode, waving his hands around and sweating bullets. He tries to laugh it off, saying, "No way, it's got to be a mistake. Maybe it's just someone who looks like him." But Ryoko doubles down, getting emotional and shouting, "It is not a mistake. Shinichi and I have even kissed." Poor Ran is entirely red-faced and shaking with rage. Kagoro smirks and grumbles about how Shinichi is apparently sneaking off to see girls instead of solving cases. Conan tries to explain again, but Ran snaps, telling him to keep his mouth shut. Just then, the office phone starts ringing. Conan quickly runs over to pick it up to escape the awkwardness. He answers it, and it turns out to be Professor Agasa on the line. Agasa wants to talk about the new invention he gave Conan this morning, specifically warning him about its battery life. But Conan, desperately trying to play the role of Shinichi to fool Ran and Ryoko, loudly interrupts him. "Oh, I get it. I'll make sure to pass along the message. Thanks, Shinichi-Niken." Ran stands up, completely on edge, asking if that was just Shinichi on the phone. Conan pretends that Shinichi told him he would call Ryoko later and told her not to worry. But Ran isn't having it. She announces they are going straight to Ryoko's apartment right now. Why? Because if Shinichi is going to call or show up there, she wants to be waiting to ambush him and throw a massive karate kick his way. Kagoro and Conan both look terrified as they reluctantly follow her out. They arrive at a massive, high-rise apartment building at night. Ryoko unlocks the front door and invites them inside. But as Conan steps over the threshold, his sharp eyes catch something deeply unsettling. He looks at the door lock and notices it's covered in deep, jagged scratches. Classic signs that someone forcefully picked the lock to break in. Conan sneaks away from the group and opens a shoe cabinet in the hallway. Inside, there are only men's shoes and children's shoes. Not a single pair of women's shoes anywhere. He immediately realizes that Ryoko doesn't actually live here. Something is very wrong. He wanders further down the hallway and finds a door with a name tag that reads Mamoru. He opens the door and gasps. The entire room has been completely turned upside down. Furniture flipped over, cassettes scattered across the floor, and total chaos everywhere. Conan looks around the wrecked room and finds a framed photograph on the floor. It shows a high school boy smiling next to a younger kid holding a soccer ball. He looks closely at the little kid's shirt and sees a school badge that reads Baika Elementary School, 2nd grade, Akagi Mamoru. So, this room belongs to a kid named Mamoru. But as Conan looks at the older high school boy in the photo, his eyes widen in shock. He recognizes that face from somewhere. Back in the living room, the TV suddenly clicks on by itself, broadcasting the intense Sunday Cup championship match between Tokyo Spirits and Big Osaka. Ran looks over, completely confused as to why the TV just turned on out of nowhere. Ran and the mysterious Ryoko are sitting at the table, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Ran is still completely fuming about the thought of Shinichi dating another girl. Conan walks back into the room, trying to sound as casual as possible, and asks, "Oh, are you guys watching soccer?" Ran fake smiles and notes that Ryoko insisted on watching this specific game. On the screen, the commentator is detailing the match, but suddenly shouts, "Oh, another missed pass from Hyde. What is going on with Akagi Hideo tonight?" Conan freezes in his tracks. He finally connects the dots. The young boy Mamoru is actually Hideo's little brother. Conan realizes that Ryoko doesn't live here at all. This is Hideo's apartment, and since Hideo's parents passed away, he lives here alone with his little brother. Ryoko used a fake name to get into the agency, but why? Conan runs back into the bathroom, pulls out his lunchbox fax machine, and waits for a document to print out. The fax comes in from Ryoko, explaining the real story. "I used a fake name because I wanted to get your help without anyone else knowing. Mamoru has been kidnapped. The criminal's demand was for Hideo to throw the championship game tonight." Suddenly, the phone rings. Ryoko picks it up, her hands shaking. It's the kidnapper on the line using a distorted voice, but Conan is hiding in the bathroom stall, using his bow tie transmitter to intercept the call. He mimics Shinichi's voice perfectly and says, "It's a kidnapping, isn't it? They're holding Mamoru to force Hideo to rig the game." Ryoko gasps on the phone, tears welling up in her eyes. She is completely overwhelmed with relief that Shinichi already knows exactly what's happening. Conan, still speaking as Shinichi, keeps his cool. "Ryoko-san, I need you to stay calm. Write down every single detail about when Mamoru went missing and fax it to me right now." Ryoko nods frantically and hangs up to start typing. But Ran has been lurking in the background the entire time. She slams her hands on the counter, demanding to know what's going on. Ryoko looks up, crying tears of joy, and says, "I'm just so happy." Shinichi-san understood everything. Ran's face turns into a mix of confusion and pure, unadulterated jealousy. She looks at the phone, then at Ryoko, and thinks, wait, if he's talking on the phone right now. That voice echoed from inside this apartment. Ran slowly turns around, her eyes narrowing as she realizes the truth. Shinichi is hiding in this very building. Ran starts storming down the hallway, throwing open doors and screaming, "Shinichi, where are you?" Ryoko's fax successfully transmits to Conan's lunchbox machine. Conan reads through her detailed notes. "I realized Mamoru was gone when I came over to cook his breakfast this morning. I found a note on the table that the kidnapper forced Mamoru to write. The note reads, 'Big brother, please bring Mamoru back to life.'" Conan stares at the note, his eyes widening. Bring him back to life? That's a really bizarre way for a kid to ask for help. He analyzes the handwriting and notices a strange series of dots along the edge of the paper. Suddenly, Conan spots a toy box on the floor that was knocked over during the struggle. He walks over, picks up a video game cartridge, and reads the title, Onamara Quest. It wasn't a violent struggle at all, and he is staring down at that kidnapping note. He realizes that it wasn't a violent ransom letter at all. It was actually a puzzle. The note says, "Big brother, please bring Mamoru back to life." In the context of a video game like Onamara Quest, bringing a character back to life is just standard gameplay. Conan boots up the game cartridge in the room and looks at the save data. And there it is. The party consists of 4 characters: Mamoru at level 40, Hideo at level 39, Ryoko at level 34, and a wizard named Naoki at level 36. The 2 mysterious ink dots on the message paper were actually precisely placed over the word brother, turning the Japanese character for older brother into the character for key. When you piece it together, the note doesn't say, "Bring Mamoru back to life." It actually spells out, "Naoki, please bring Mamoru back to life." Conan realizes the truth. Mamoru wasn't kidnapped by some sinister criminal. He was just hanging out at Uemura Naoki's apartment playing video games. Naoki staged the entire kidnapping and trashed the room himself to look like a ruthless extortionist. He wanted to force Hideo to lose the game out of pure professional spite. While Conan is figuring this out, Ran is still on a rampage in the hallway. Conan thinks quickly on his feet, changing back to his normal kid voice. He tells Ran that Shinichi Niken just called him and said he's heading over to Naoki's place to rescue Mamoru. Ran doesn't hesitate for a second. She grabs Ryoko's hand and dashes out the door, yelling, "We're going to Naoki's place." They race over to Naoki's apartment complex and frantically ring the buzzer. Naoki opens the door, his leg covered in a massive cast from his recent injury. He tries to act cool, telling them he can't let them in because his girlfriend is over. But Ryoko is desperate. She screams out, "Mamoru, are you in there?" Naoki tries to shut them out, warning them to back off. But you do not tell Ran Mouri to back off when she is on a mission. Her eyes narrow into pure focus. She channels her inner martial arts master, spins around, and delivers an absolute monster of a karate kick straight into the door. The entire door flies off its hinges, sending Naoki flying backward onto the floor, cast and all. It is absolutely glorious. They rush past him into the back room and open the door. And what do they find? Little Mamoru is just sitting comfortably on a cushion, happily mashing buttons on a video game console, completely safe and sound. He looks up and says, "Oh, Ryoko-nichan." With Mamoru safe, Ryoko quickly dials the stadium to get a message through to Hideo. Down in the lockers before the second half, Hideo picks up the phone. Ryoko tells him the best news he could ever hear. "Hideo? Mamoru is safe. He's completely fine." The relief on Hideo's face is instant. He turns to his teammates, completely re-energized, and steps out onto the pitch for the second half. He drives the ball down the field with incredible precision, cuts right through Big Osaka's defense, and launches a stunning shot straight past the goalkeeper into the back of the net. Goal. Tokyo Spirits takes the lead, and Hideo keeps his historic scoring streak alive. Naoki leans against the wall, defeated, and lets out a bitter laugh. He confesses to everything. He admits he was always jealous of Hideo. While Hideo was heralded as a genius, Naoki viewed himself as the one who had to work hard. Despite having a similar track record in high school, Hideo always got the fame, the popularity, and the massive contracts. Then Then came their recent practice match. Naoki claims Hideo deliberately and maliciously fractured his leg just to stop him from taking over the spotlight. With a broken leg and a doctor telling him he'd be out for 3 months, Naoki's jealousy pushed him over the edge. He decided to turn the tables by capturing Hideo's younger brother, Mamoru, to completely break Hideo on the field. But the television broadcast completely shatters Naoki's delusion. During his post-game interview, a jubilant Hideo addresses the camera. Instead of bragging about his victory, his voice softens with emotion. "The person I want to thank most for this win is my ultimate rival, Uemura Naoki. If he were out on the field with me tonight, we would have scored way more goals. Get well soon, Naoki. I'm waiting for you." Hearing this, Naoki breaks down, tears streaming down his face as he realizes his friend never hated him at all. He drops his head into his hands, sobbing, "What a fool I've been." While Naoki is distracted by his regrets, Ran completely loses her patience. She grabs him by the collar and yells, "All right, enough with the tears. Where are you hiding, Shinichi?" Ryoko tries to defuse the situation, suggesting they should try calling Shinichi's phone to check on him. Hearing the word phone, Conan instantly panics, realizing his cell phone is still tucked away inside his backpack. Conan slips out of the room unnoticed, frantically dialing the agency line from a safe distance to maintain his cover. Solving a complex kidnapping case is easy, but dealing with a jealous Ran? That's the real challenge. And that's a wrap on this episode, guys. What did you think of the tragic rivalry between Hideo and Naoki? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next Detective Conan recap. See ya!